I'm talking about straining for that logo on the side of your helmet and not the name on your back.
Yes, sir.
Because we know what it represents. It represents everybody here you see and everybody you can't that we've talked about. I'm here to strain with you, man. I swear to God, I'm here to strain with you. Let's go. Everything you got, strain with everything you got. Let's go. Bills on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
You're listening to the Off Tackle with John Fina show with your host, Joe Miller. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Off Tackle with John Fina show, brought to you by Fina, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. John, it's game day.
I get the anticipation, the anxiety is already building, and we got hours yet to go.
So many hours. Yes,
so many hours.
That's the hard part, is like waiting for it to tick down and get there already. It'll be interesting to see who, like, all the pregame stuff is around. So like we saw on Thursday night, the Chiefs Lions game, the whole pregame was the Chiefs. Like, they barely even mentioned a blurb about the Lions.
Oops.
I gotta think this week it's going to be about the Jets. I think all of the pregame stuff from ESPN will be about the Jets. I think it's ESPN.
Yeah, and how do you not mention Detroit after the way they finished last season? They've got stars on defense. They've got an incredible wide receiver, St. Brown. Their offensive line is strong. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson,
right?
Second-year guy. You could do 15 minutes on him alone if you chose to. That's just, maybe production budgets are low, Joe. Like ours. Our production budget is
maybe.
You can see my background is low production budget. So
yeah, you have switched rooms. So you used to be in front of your not a hutch, but credenza. Is that right? You were in front of your credenza before with your jersey and your helmets.
Yeah, more or less. I've left the bedroom, office, studio / whatever to my new office in the house, because my daughter went to college, and I have yet to decorate it in any sort of podcast bills represented form. So my list of things to do is long, just like yours and everybody else's. So it'll maybe by week 12 you might see a jersey or a helmet back there. I don't know.
You got the backpack or the hoodie over your right.
I just hung the backpack. I'm like, I got to represent, aside from my 26 shirts Victory Monday anticipatory.
Anticipatory,
right?
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it, man. Just
gotcha.
I got a million things to do and about 8 minutes to do it.
Well, welcome to everybody into the show. Welcome to all of those of you that are piling into the comments section. Appreciate you joining us for a special, an El Special episode of the Off Tackle with John Fina show. Due to all of the shows that we have, we were unable to secure a spot on a Tuesday post game. So we are doing a Monday pregame. Excited to have you guys with us. Excited to talk a little bit about this football game. But before we do, let's hear from our newest sponsor, Fina, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care.
It's time to say goodbye to the blur and hello to clear vision. Fina, Endel, and Elmer are the first in Western New York to bring you Zeiss Smile technology. Along with our highly experienced surgeons, we promise an effortless journey to better vision. Gone are the days of fumbling for glasses or struggling with contact lenses. Embrace the freedom of superb sight, because we believe you deserve the world in HD. Visit us online at ficta.com and schedule a consultation. Fina, Endel, and Elmer, we are focused on you.
Gotta love it. So that's our new sponsor actually for several of the shows on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. But thank you so much to Fina, Endel, and Elmer. And yes, they have a very awesome kind of easy process. If you are in need or interested in finding out if vision corrective surgery is for you, surgery isn't really the right word, please schedule a consultation. My wife has done it, and it's still weird for me. She had it done 5 years ago, and still after 5 years, it's weird for me to not see her without her glasses.
Yeah, it's amazing, the technology in ophthalmology. That in my previous job, I was with an ophthalmology company, and these surgeries can. You said surgery, I should say procedure.
Procedure, yeah.
It's so minimally invasive and so quick, and the results are astounding. So, Fina, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care. Welcome to Buffalo Rumblings and the Off Tackle with John Fina show. We're happy to have you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, John, game day, we've already talked about it. We've talked about the excitement. We've come this far to get to here today. Had to sit through a lot of bad football yesterday, right? I'm still disappointed that the Chargers could not pull out that win against the Dolphins. That would have been a nice gift.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to the Giants last night. Oh my God.
I turned it off, Joe. I couldn't even watch it.
I did
I mean, it was like a fireman with fuel coming out of the hose. Like everywhere he aimed just conflagration everywhere. Micah Parsons just ripped them apart.
Yes.
It was God, it was tough to watch.
Yeah, that was one of those. We've seen a couple of those games as Bills fans in the last 4 or 5 years where just people weren't ready to play football for whatever reason. And that offensive line and Daniel Jones was just not really ready to play. The Chiefs game, we talked about that, and the Lions and the Chiefs losing to the Lions. So here's the issue that I have right now. I sent in a text message. And this was before Thursday. I said, I think it's possible that all 3 stud quarterbacks in the AFC lose this week. So I was talking about Mahomes, lost. Burrow looked awful, lost. Mm-hmm. And then obviously Herbert. Josh Allen. Now I have predicted the Bills to win this football game. I think in our season prediction, you predicted the Bills to potentially lose this football game.
We didn't do a season prediction.
I thought we did.
No.
Oh, was that me and Spence? You're right. Yeah. That was me and Spence.
So we should do one on the next show because we can just pencil this one in. You're going loss here.
No, I actually predicted the Bills to win.
Sorry.
You said win. I've been asked 15 times this weekend. I was asked 4 times this morning. What's your prediction? What do you think is going to happen? And I'm literally, I have no idea.
Nobody I don't know what asks me. You're big time. I mean, nobody wants to pick my brain except you.
It's true.
You know, Gary and Spence and I will go back and forth a little bit on text, but yeah.
So where are you at this many hours before the game? Where are you at as far as just excitement, anticipation, and expectation in what we're going to see from the Buffalo Bills? I think there's a lot of opportunity, but where are you at?
As a fan, as a podcaster, as a player?
Yes.
Okay. All right. As a player, I am just, I hated Monday night games. I hated Sunday night games. Yes, because you have the entire day. Your rhythm is off. You're trying to figure out how to not get too excited. You know, don't let the anticipation start building. Don't start pumping adrenaline right now. You know, there's not a lot on TV, but, you know, nowadays you can watch whatever you want. So, you know, my recommendation would be guys are just kind of laying around. They might do a little stretch, a little activity this morning, shake it up, go to the team meals, but there's a ton of downtime. So what are you going to do with that downtime? You know, put on a comedy series, something to keep you relaxed, right? And then occasionally you're thinking about the game, you're opening up the playbook, confirming a couple different plays against various looks, going through the blitz report, but not too much, not to the point where you start to get locked up and start thinking, oh my God, I didn't know that well enough, you know, because the flow of the game is so different than the playbook and practice. As a fan, you know, thank God I got a job and I get to, you know, be focused and work all day on something else. As a podcaster, right now I'm in the thick of it with you. Holy cow. I mean, I was fine. I started working this morning early, and then all of a sudden you asked, you know, are you ready for the game? And boom, adrenaline, right? Anticipation just comes up. And it's big, right? Considering the way they ended last year, the roster moves, the non-roster moves, which have so many people just skeptical, angry, upset, you know, flummoxed. They just don't know where to go with some of the things they did and didn't do off season. But again, right, we aren't in that driver's seat. We got to just, I hate to say trust, right? It's a quasi relationship, right?
Yep.
We need them, they need us, but you know, nobody's really doing the dishes over at my house from one Bills drive.
That's funny. I just, again, getting back to the what do you expect or what's your prediction? And we can get into some of that here in a couple minutes.
Well, I have to make my prediction, and then I can give you keys to winning if you want. I mean,
well, yeah,
I'd like to hear yours too.
We'll actually hit that next, but just from an overview standpoint, when you talk about the roster moves they made and the roster moves they didn't make, my immediate focus goes clearly to the offense. James Cook in particular, I'm going to have a lot of eyes on James Cook. I want to see Dalton Kincaid. And what's interesting about the Dalton Kincaid piece, the 12 personnel stuff and all that thing, and I do believe that they hit a lot in preseason. I feel like they showed just enough of Dalton Kincaid for them to kind of be comfortable with him, right? He ran the same route 4 times, caught all 4 passes. I'm very interested to see offensively if Josh reverts. I'm going to use the word reverts back to the 2020 Josh Allen, when he was taking that underneath stuff. He was taking that easy stuff, which opened up the deep stuff, because Josh kind of lost himself, in my opinion, a little bit. And he has admitted as such that he needs to make sure that he's focused on taking what's there. So I want to see James Cook. I want to see Dalton Kincaid. I want to see what Josh does. I'm wildly interested in, obviously, what these receivers are going to do. Steph is going to be Steph, but the Jets have really done a good job of putting the clamps down on Steph.
It's funny you say clamps, especially considering Sauce Gardner has a
grabs a little bit
to clamp down,
right? And then defensively speaking, Sean McDermott calling plays and no middle, the middle linebacker situation. So it'll be interesting to see if we see Christian Kirksey in this game tonight. But I would love to hear from you. Yes, keys to winning, and effectively, this isn't going to be a long show. We're going to be out of here kind of in and out real fast because we got a game coming, and then AJ's coming after us as well. But yeah, I'd love to know some of your keys and what your prediction is.
Well, it's you talked about taking the stress off of Josh, the superhero mentality, right? Got to do it all. And the best way to do that is with the running game. And from what I saw in the preseason, and again, we talk a lot about screen being a quasi run option. It looked good. The running game looked better. It looked like they had a stronger philosophy, a more focused philosophy. And the screen game actually looked pretty darn good. The swing passes looked effective, right? Now doing that live against the Jets is going to be a different task. But if they can do those two things, if they can get the ball into Cook's hands in space, if they can block up front with a cohesive run game plan, take the pressure off Josh so he can hit those underneath throws, then stretch the field when it makes sense, take a shot every now and again, go for the holding call downfield. That is one of my keys to victory. Establish the run, take the pressure off Josh. Going along with that, though, the Bills have to start fast. And what I mean by that is whether they get the ball from opening kick or second possession of the game, they have to score. They have to score a touchdown. And then in the third quarter, same thing. They must score. When you're in away territory, that's a huge focus, scoring on both of those drives. I think if they do that, they win, defense aside. If they could score on both opening drives of each half, I think they win the football game. Now, we will all have eyes on that middle linebacker position. But what I have felt for a very long time, and we talked about it a lot last year, is productivity of the front four on defense is going to matter more to that middle linebacker's experience or performance, I should say, than anything else. So that's my take. Score, first half, second half, first possession, and the Bills win. And I'm going with Bills win because it's the first game of the season. I'm energized. I'm optimistic, and I don't want to put a damper on that.
Yeah.
Now, again, also put defensive key. Put Aaron Rodgers in a position where he reverts to the guy that is. You try to put him in a "I'm all about me" kind of guy. The body language that he sometimes exhibits. This team isn't used to it. Maybe that can disaffect them a little bit. Separate Aaron from his team.
That's interesting. That's an interesting concept as far as that goes. I don't know how you go about doing that other than shutting down, blanketing their wide receivers, and then obviously getting that pressure, as you said, from the front four.
Well, I think to answer your question, you said it, so I'm gonna answer it. To do that, you've really got to confuse. You got to mix man and press coverage. You got to bring some heat through the middle, heat off the edge,
Mm-hmm.
put them in a situation where the receivers, they run the wrong route. They
Right,
run the wrong
right,
stop. Like this guy
right.
has an option. He doesn't run it. Right. So that's the way you got to do that. You got to get him a little frustrated with his personnel.
Interesting. The series recently of late for these two football teams has been compelling, I think is the word to use, because the Bills have beaten them. The Jets have beaten the Bills. The Bills have won in weird fashions. They had that weird, like, only field goal game that they won. There's just an aspect of, like, I'm not sure what to make of this football game. And then you have week 1 on top of it, which the Bills have last year shown out week 1 against the Rams. The year before that, laid an egg against the Steelers. So there's a great deal of, like, I don't know. I know one thing. Week 1 doesn't matter. The win matters, the loss matters, but there's an aspect of, like, who you are week 1 does not determine who you're going to be week 10. Right?
Yeah, being at a division game, I have to put a little bit more emphasis on it, right? I mean, it's a division game, and it's one hell of a defense,
right?
And that going with the run game, I didn't give the Jets any compliments as I should. It's not going to be easy. I mean, that front 6-7 of the Jets is as good as it comes, in my opinion. Those two defensive tackles are a load. I mean, I'll be very attuned to what types of runs that they're going to put together to try to exploit the two big fellas inside, the two Q2. But that'll be a lot. Mosley is an amazing linebacker. I think when you talked about Dalton Kincaid, get him to run that route he caught 4 on, right? Put those linebackers in a situation, run some true play action that they can stop their feet, step up once, focus on the running back, and then we get that half a step lead behind them. And Josh is a good tall quarterback, and he has a nice touch now, not like his first year where everything I think was coming in like a bazooka. He can lay the ball in there nicely. So that Jets defense, neutralizing them is going to be a tall order.
Very tall order. I watched Josh on a presser. I can't remember. I think it may have been either Pat McAfee or Rich Eisen, but he was talking about Dalton Kincaid in particular, and they were asking him about him. And he was like, we probably should pump the brakes. Dalton's a rookie, right?
Sure.
He's like, so let's start there. Like, Dalton's a rookie. So as much as Dalton we've heard a lot of the conversation about him looking great in camp and being pro ready, and we've seen him play a little bit, and he did a very good job. It was actually against the Steelers, right, in that football game. There's probably a little bit of, let's give him a minute to get his feet underneath him. I think Josh, is concerned about making sure that he's where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there, and just checks and calls and all kinds of stuff like that. I feel like there's also, as much as we're talking about, the Jets defense and the Bills offense, the Bills defense and the Jets offense a little bit, I feel like this Bills team has something to prove too, right? I feel like they've been counted out a little bit, right? So not really anybody's picking them to win the division, even though they've won it the last 3 times in a row, and their team probably got a little bit better aside from losing Tremaine Edmonds. I feel like there's something to prove there, because when we hear about Stefon Diggs and just all of that banter that's still going, you've got all these guys, Chris Jones showing up to the Chiefs game with his agents while they lose, right? T. Higgins is wanting a contract. All these guys that are like having all these problems around the league, and people are still talking about Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen having a beef, which is wild to me. So I think there's an aspect when you listen to the reports, and I was at camp, and Stefon Diggs normally he's at 10, was it like 11 and 12? I think we have to prove a point.
Well, look, if you come into the season and you don't have that feeling from the get-go, I mean, you should always feel that way. And as fandom, we feel it more because of what you said, picking other teams to win our division, focusing more on the personnel issues that the Bills face rather than, what's going on with T. Higgins and with Chris Jones in Kansas City. So be that as it may, as a player, you come into the season and they know they were all in the last game except for the newcomers. They know they have something to prove. Yeah. And that's not a bad place to be. I'm going with a win. And to address your Dalton Kincaid thing, I don't expect him to start. I don't expect him to take over for Dawson Knox, but he is going to get in the game. He is going to have 10 to 15 plays of the 45 or 60, and he will be on the field.
Mhm.
At least 15 is my guess. He will have to run a route, and he will, that's the opportunity. I don't expect him to go out there and take over, but so I'm not focusing on him as an individual performance. I still think Dawson Knox is a terrific option. Individual performances, though, I'd have to say Spencer Brown is definitely under the glass a little bit. I think that my goodness, our left tackle, I'm blanking on his name.
Deion Dawkins.
Yeah, Deion Dawkins, he created his own controversy, but then, played much better in the following preseason games. So, people are going to be watching the tackles. Osiris Torrance, big boy now. He's got a big boy. He's named the starter, and he's got a big boy coming at him. Terrell Bernard, I think, is going to name the starting middle linebacker. He has to be serviceable at the worst for this game. And then the cornerbacks, it's been kind of an interesting gamut from injuries last year that carry over to who starts, who plays this year. They really have to shine. Yeah. So I'm looking at Christian Benford in particular. He's really got to perform. Mm-hmm. Garrett Wilson is no joke.
He is no joke. And I need him to score points. He's on my fantasy football team.
Dude, that's why I love and hate fantasy. I took the year off. I'm not even in a league. I couldn't handle finishing 14th in a league of 10 again. I'm so bad. So bad.
I'm so bad. It's going to be interesting to see how this game sets up, because as much as it's offense versus defense, you have to wonder if one of the offenses is going to set a pace, right, for the other offense. So, to your point, did the Bills come out and score on their first possession, which then puts the Jets in a chase roll? Did the Jets come out and score easily on their first possession, putting the Bills in a chase roll? Is it going to be the defenses versus, because they're both relatively good defenses. The Jets, we know, is a good defense, and we're a little unsure of what we're going to get from the Bills defense, but we know that they're good as well. They've got good players, right? A little bit of changes this year. It's going to be interesting to see who sets the pace, who sets the tone of this game. I feel like if the Jets defense sets the tone of this game, the Jets can win this football game, not easily, but more easily than if the Bills offense sets the pace, which basically means if the Bills come out, they're firing, they're hitting their marks, they're on cue, call it in the zone. They're not looking like the Cincinnati Bengals offense from this weekend or the Chiefs offense from the second half of that game. If the Bills are come out and they're firing on all cylinders, I think the Bills win this game 34-24, like relatively handily. If the Jets are playing chase, if it's a defensive game and the Jets defense is basically dictating the whole game, no bueno.
Oh, no bueno. I agree. I absolutely agree. It's as I looked across the games being played this weekend, to me, this is the best matchup, the most intrigue, the most exciting one to watch, right? I mean, it's intra-divisional, number one. I can't even off the top of my head name another division game other than Packers Bears. There may be Denver,
Cincy Browns,
right? Okay, so I think there's just a little less intrigue there. But this game, through the AFC champ and the newcomer with the Hall of Fame imminent quarterback, is this, they picked the right damn game for Monday Night Football.
Yes, they did.
for opening week, right? And it just on paper, looking across all the matchups, you're like, oh, I'm not going to miss this one. I'm a football fan. Honey, we are not going to dinner, right? And he says, but I've been really wanting to go to that new Chili's. And she just says, dude, no, we're not going. Like, what's wrong with you?
Baby,
right?
ribs.
I mean, if you're a football fan at all, you're catching this one, especially after the egg that was laid last night, right? You're just like, I turned that off at, after the middle of the second quarter. I was like, I got really important things to do. I have socks from like 3 years ago. I need to get out of the drawer, get the donation, that's like, man, my list of important stuff just moved up.
Yeah, I had a couple of spats with people on Twitter over that game because, a couple of people are like, "Oh, I don't see the legend Isaiah Hodgins doing anything in this game." I'm like, "He can't because the freaking offensive line was getting collapsed in both sides, in the middle, the front, you name it. Like it was a pathetic.
And Daniel Jones, just the slider. I mean, it doesn't really like fill you full of adrenaline, right?
Right.
You get your quarterback, he's got a little space slide.
Dude, this weekend,
Daniel, dude, you're such a man. You're so tough. Slide.
Offensive lines aside, because obviously the offensive lines, as you know, because you played offensive line, is a big part of the offense and dictating what the offense can do. There was $1 billion in quarterbacks this weekend that played like absolute trash between Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Daniel Jones. $1 billion in quarterbacks that just played like garbage this weekend.
I don't think it's in their contract that they have to give any money back. Though, right?
They do not.
Woo.
All right, so let's get into game predictions, and let's get into score predictions and maybe some stat line stuff. And yes, let's next week do a season prediction because you're right, we did not do it. I did one with Spence.
All right.
But I'm gonna let you go first. So game prediction. You already said you've got the Bills winning.
Bills win.
Yep.
I go 27-21.
Bills win 27-20. What do you got for Josh Allen? Give me Josh Allen and James Cook.
Cook. Geez, I'm going to say 64 yards on 10 carries. Just because, our other running back is going to get some touches. All right. So he'll have probably 5 touches for about 18.
We haven't even talked about Damian Harris.
No, and he looks good. Damian Harris looks good, I think. But it is so incredibly important for those to both be productive in the rotation. I think that, I don't like to look backwards, but between Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, we never really had them both doing well at the same time.
Right.
It worked really well for San Diego, or I keep saying San Diego. The Chargers in their loss, both running backs, Eckler and Joshua Kelly, UCLA, did really well. And the other pair down in Atlanta, right? Algier.
Yep.
And Bijan Robinson, Tucson, Arizona, South Point Catholic High School. I love that. Josh Allen is going to have, I think, a good game. I don't think it's going to be what you think. Obviously, I said 27-20, 21, 3 touchdowns. I'm afraid to say he's going to have 1 pick. But I think he goes about, maybe 28 of 40. I think he's going to be okay.
60%.
Yeah, be a good game. There's going to be some challenges. Now, you always up your percentage when you're throwing screens and quick swing passes, right? So that's why when you talk completion percentage is always like, I got to review all 950 passes from the season to tell you, like, this is an easy one. Like Joe Miller could have thrown that ball.
So question before I give you my prediction and my stat prediction. If there is a little bit, if the Bills come out and good football game, end up in the L column, similar to the way the Chargers did. The Chargers played the Dolphins well. They just ended up on the wrong side. They made some mistakes. They lost in kind of a Charger fashion, if that makes any sense. They invent ways to lose. But if the Bills play a good game, lose, hey, it's on the next week. If the Bills come out and literally cannot execute and cannot stop anybody on defense, very similar to what we saw in the Bengals game, is there a little bit of alarm for you that there's still a hangover from that playoff game? Well,
I don't say alarm. It depends on the types of mistakes, right? I mean, if it's a hard-fought game, they don't win, that's understandable. If they go out and just look terrible, if they have a lot of formation penalties, offsides penalties, a lot of breaks in the secondary, drop passes, then I'm like, then I don't ever say alarm bells, right? Because like we said, it's a game, it's week to week. If you remember back in good old 1992, the Buffalo Bills went to the Super Bowl, right? We went out to Los Angeles to play the Raiders, and it was just ugly. And I mean, we did not look like a Super Bowl team. It was awful. I think we lost the game like 19-12 or some ridiculous type score. We had a punt blocked. If you play hard and lose, it doesn't concern me as so much as, horrible, stupid mental mistakes. That's the kind of stuff. It's like, ooh, yikes.
Right.
Yep.
Gotcha. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Buffalo Bills win this football game. I think the Jets are probably going to score. I think they're going to get their points. I think they're going to score probably 17. What was your score prediction?
I went 27-21.
I'm probably in that 21-17, 24-17 range as far as that goes. I think it's going to be a relatively not low scoring game, mediocre scoring game. So it's not going to be 9-3 or 9-6 or something weird like that. But I don't think it's going to be, 34-31 or 37-35 or something weird like that. I don't think it's going to be insane. Josh Allen, I think, puts up a decent amount of numbers. Numbers are a weird thing because you see guys with low stats win games and guys with crazy stats lose games. I think it's about effective. So I think Josh is going to have an effective, as far as completion percentage, like, you said, what'd you say? You said 28-40, I think is what you said. Is that right?
Yep.
28-40. I think he's going to be, I don't think he's going to attempt 40 passes. I think the Bills are probably going to run the ball. I think they're going to try to big boy him a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But Josh Allen, for me, I think he's in that 285 range. He probably throws a touchdown, runs a touchdown. And then I'd like to see Damian Harris get in the end zone as well, which would be my 21. And then obviously a field goal after that would put me at 24. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And just to remind everybody one more time before we get everybody out of here, if the Bills do happen to end up on the wrong side of the win column in this game, it's one game. The Chiefs lost, right? So, I mean, and the Bengals lost. So we really haven't lost any ground. We've lost them in the AFC potential, the East rather. But for all
Miami,
right? Yeah, Miami. Yeah. But for all intents and purposes, it is what it is. Well, it'd be Miami and the Jets. They'd both be ahead of us. But yeah, any words of encouragement or advice?
Man, just crack your favorite beverage. Sit down. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't get over your skis. If the Bills are in a bad way, but in your estimation, don't start getting concerned until the middle of the third quarter.
Very good.
That was time flies in the game, but be patient. Don't. I coach all the time, right? I coach both my sons. I coach JV football. One play does not make the entirety of the game.
That's right.
Right. Those guys practice hard too. You're going to have wins and losses. You just hopefully at the end of the game, the team with the fewest mistakes tends to win.
That's right. So you just said crack your favorite beverage. And with that, that's a great segue. So one quick ad for you guys about a Megapod podcast coming up, home opener week, and then we'll get you guys out of here.
Bills Mafia is back. Are you ready for it? The third annual Buffalo Rumblings IPA beer release party is going down September 16th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Resurgence Brewing Company located downtown at 55 Chicago Street. I'm going to tell you what, you do not want to miss this event. Come out and hang with Joe, Sarah, and the rest of the Buffalo Rumblings crew for the Megapod. You're going to want to bring your questions and be a part of the live stream. Get involved. It's going to be live. And this year, we're also going to have our friends from Fans of Buffalo joining the party and sponsoring the fun. They're going to be in the house to provide you with all the information you need to make your away game day experience the easiest and the most smooth that you've ever had in your life. I can promise you, they do their job very well. So make sure you make it out Saturday, September 16th, 6 p.m., Resurgence Brewing Company, 55 Chicago Street. Go Bills.
Go Bills. You going to be the home opener?
I am not. I don't have plans to make it to a game this year.
Not one?
No, my son is starting at UCLA right now,
right.
Playing pretty well. So hopefully you guys become UCLA fans a little bit.
I watched.
I watched. Yeah. I'm coaching JV at my alma mater, South Point Catholic, and my son Roman is currently a backup on the O-line and getting a lot of playing time as a second stringer. Played the whole half the other night on Friday.
Awesome.
So it pains me to say I don't have plans to come back, but it's looking that way right now.
Gotcha. Well, you will be missed at the home opener if you're not there, and it doesn't seem like you're going to be. But hopefully we'll get to the home opener 1-0, and then after the home opener be 2-0. But I think it's time to get out of here and start getting prepped for some football. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, brought to you by Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care. So good to have everybody with you. Hey, look, crack your favorite beverage, take John's advice, sit back, enjoy the fact that football is back. We're on primetime. The Bills usually play pretty good on primetime. And regardless of the outcome, go Bills.
I'm wearing my Victory Monday t-shirt. Go Bills.
Go Bills.